Hello there, my name's Claire and you're watching Stitch Hem. So thank you so much for joining me today for another video. Now today's video is a really exciting one. I'm talking all about the sewing challenge, hashtag a gift to November 23. Now this is a challenge that is in its second year and it's run by the lovely Alison from Sew Like Dotty and Adam from Adam Sews. And the idea behind the challenge, if you haven't heard anything about it, is to try and get ahead of the game, sewing up gifts for the Christmas festivities or any other celebration over that sort of time period, or indeed throughout the whole year, some gift ideas for us sewing up for other people. So the idea behind the challenge, as I say, is to sew things for other gifts for other people. It can be all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be garments. It can be all sorts of things that you have sewn. It doesn't have to be done on a sewing machine. It could be hand sewn, etc. But I will be giving you the ideas that I have got for what I'd like to make for other people. I may well sew up some other things as well, but these are some ideas that I've got at this point. So some other little details about the sewing challenge. You need to post your makes over on Instagram on the last day of the month, which is the 30th of November, tagging in both Alison, who is Sew Like Dotty _Dotty Lifestyle on Instagram. I'm going to pop that up along the screen because I might have got that detail a little bit wrong, and the lovely Adam Sews as well. Tag both of them and also use that hashtag so that they can find you when you're submitting your entry. So it is hashtag a gift to November 23. Now during the month, if you're wanting to post any sneak peeks or works in progress or anything like that, if you can use the hashtag a gift to November 23 WIP, which just stands for work in process, that means that the actual hashtag will be left for your finished makes, and it means that they can look at all of those when it is the closing date. And if you enter the lovely challenge, you are in the chance of winning a whole host of lovely prizes. So a big shout out to all of those lovely businesses who've got on board and sponsor the challenge. It's just brilliant. Huge thank you to you. These challenges would be not nearly as fun if it wasn't for the chance of winning a prize, so thank you. There is some fantastic prizes, from an amazing array of sponsors, and I'll pop some of those details up on the screen, which include kind of fabric and vouchers and for patterns, etc., and some haberdashery items. But there's also sort of a star prize this year, which is a sewing machine, which is just amazing. So yeah, huge thank you to the sponsors, and of course to Alison and Adam for arranging all of this. Just brilliant. Now through the month of November, there are a whole host of us vloggers who are all posting all about our makes, etc., so don't forget to check out everybody else. I'm going to put the details of the people that came yesterday and will come tomorrow as well for you to check out, but there's somebody, at least one person each day of the month, and lots of days there's two people, so loads and loads of inspiration for you. And for me, I can't wait to see what everyone else is looking to make. I got loads of ideas last year. It was brilliant. So yeah, a great sewing challenge, and one that I think is really easy to get on board with, because so many of us like to make gifts for other people, and even if it's just one gift, that means that you can enter this sewing challenge. Now if you're looking to make several of one item, so I don't know, several bags that are exactly the same, that would count for only one entry. But obviously if you make a jumper, a bag, a scarf, a hat, they may well be all different posts that you could enter. But if you're making 100 of one particular item, that would just count for one entry. So I think that's all the kind of the admin side of things. So let's get cracking on what I am thinking of making. Now, I generally like to make quite a few gifts for people, and so I have been having a think about this year what I'd like to do. Now, I often will make some teacher gifts, but obviously that means making quite a few generally of the same type of item. So this year I sort of racked my brain for something that looks lovely but doesn't necessarily take up a huge amount of time if you're producing multiples of the same item. I've got 2 children. So that means at least a teacher and a classroom assistant, and often there'll be I think my younger son has got there's a job share situation, so then there's 2 or 3 or 4 people for each child. So yeah, I needed something that sews up really quickly but equally looks lovely. So my thoughts in relation to that are some wrist warmers. Now that means that their fingers are free, but this part of your hand is kept warm, and your wrist, which apparently generally tends to keep the rest of your hand warm if you can keep this bit of your hand warm, but obviously it leaves their fingers free for any other tasks that they've got to do. I know definitely that my younger son, who is in year R, his teachers will spend a lot of time outside in all weathers, so they need everything they can to keep themselves warm. So I have made up a pair already to try this pattern out. Now this is a free pattern, and there are many different sort of free patterns on the internet, and this is one from, oh goodness me, it's gone, Stoff of Denmark. No, the title of it has gone out of my head. I do apologise. I'm going to put the details on the screen. Apologies. Now, I've made them in black, which is not a great fabric for you guys to see, but you'll see from my hand kind of how far they come up. You literally have one pattern piece that you cut on the fold twice, one for each hand, and they sew up within a matter of minutes. Now these ones I haven't even bothered to kind of hem the top and the bottom. I've just overlocked the edge, and I think because I've done black on black that works absolutely fine, but with another I would just turn that over and hem it. These literally really do sew up within a matter of minutes. So, and a great way to use up scrap fabric, scrap bits of sweatshirting or cotton jersey or other kind of jersey type fabric. Obviously it needs to be a stretch fabric so that your hand can move. You need to make sure that the stretch goes across your hand, not this way if it's a fabric that's only got one way stretch. But yeah, really great, and so they genuinely sew up really quickly. I know lots of people, when they're talking about patterns, they'll say, oh, they literally whiz up in no time whatsoever, and you're like, really? I'm not sure that they would. They genuinely do sew up in no time at all, and I will link all the details in relation to this pattern. As I say, free pattern, you just download, but there's also loads of different tutorials on the on YouTube in relation to wrist warmers or fingerless gloves that you could look at as well. So that's plan number 1. Now along with that, I thought I would just make some keychains, because again these sew up in literally a matter of minutes. The only thing that kind of you have to buy additionally, really, that you're unlikely to perhaps have in your stash, is these sort of clasp bits at the top with the keychain bit. You can buy them very easily online in multiple packs, and so that you can buy them fairly inexpensively. Kind of the more you buy, the cheaper they are, if you see what I mean. Lots of them will come with a tool to sandwich this together. Genuinely, you don't need to spend the extra money on that. If you've got a pair of pliers, that is all you need, I promise. I've just cut a piece of fusible foam a little offcut. I always end up from bag making little offcuts of fusible foam. Cut that to about 1 inch wide. Cut your piece of fabric to maybe 3 or 4 inches, and then you're literally just kind of folding it in yourself so that you don't get a raw edge, a bit like you would do with bias binding. And then I've done a line of top stitching on each side. Clip that on the top. Happy days. I mean, really, really simple. Could not be more simple. Literally sews up within minutes. So my idea is that each of the teachers will get a little set of a key ring and some hand warmers, and I'll probably pop in some little chocolates. Job done. Now, one of my sons has got a male, his teacher is male, and so I will probably do something different for him. I'll probably still do the keychain in a kind of more manly, I don't know whether that's the right thing to say, just a more appropriate fabric, shall we say. And I will have to have a little think about something that will sew up nice and easy for him as well. But I think that's a really nice little gift to give to a teacher that will literally sew up with in minutes. So definitely recommend that one. Now, another pattern that I am looking to sew up now for a few people. I'm not necessarily going to say about who I'm sewing these items for, in case the people that are watching, who are receiving these, are watching, but this is just some plans that I've got. Now, I previously made this crossbody bag. This is the Lunar crossbody bag from Adam Sews, our lovely host of this challenge, and I made this bag for myself. Nobody's getting this one, but I just thought I'd show you what I'm planning on making. So it's a little crossbody bag. It's got a main pocket zip at the top and then one at the front. This is a really great pattern, lovely little quilted bag. Sews up, as far as bag goes, sews up really quite speedily. The thing that probably takes the most amount of time is any quilting that you want to do. I've done a crosshatch version on this one, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You could just do some squiggly lines or any quilting design you want to do on that. That's just what I decided to do. I've additionally added these little sort of tab bits onto the zip just because I wanted to, but that's not necessarily part of the pattern. And I also added an inside slip pocket in the bag as well, because I find that quite useful. So that is my second idea for gifts for a couple of friends / family members, and I have definitely got some other sort of nice cottons in my stash that I am looking to sew those up with. So that's the second idea. Now, the third idea I've got is to sew up some jewellery rolls in this fabric. Now, I found a couple of different patterns online. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go with. Probably just a free pattern that I can find, and so I will link some of those details into the description box below, but I'll pop a picture in of what I'm thinking about making. Now, this is a plush velvet fabric that I have got from UK Fabrics online. That a number of different shops sell this, but I have to say that the UK Fabrics online is definitely the cheapest that I have seen. I am, full disclosure, I am a brand ambassador for them, but they haven't asked me to say that. It's just that I happen to know that they, as far as I'm concerned, the cheapest place that you can buy this type of fabric, and you can get this in all sorts of different designs. Now, this fabric just feels beautiful, and I think I've shown it on my channel before, and the lovely Sam from So Let's Sparkle with Sam suggested jewellery rolls with it, which I just think is the perfect idea. So I'm definitely thinking of sewing up a couple of those in that, and I'm going to have more fabric to spare, definitely. So another item that I am thinking about making with this, which I just think will be gorgeous, is the Sew Over It bow bag. I'm going to pop an image of it there. I think this will look gorgeous in that. It will look lovely as a little evening bag, but also you could use that equally as a little cosmetics bag as well. So I think that will be really, really lovely. I'm really looking forward to sewing up this fabric. It's just gorgeous, lovely. It feels so soft. Now, talking about cosmetics bags, I love to sew these up for people for presents. So definitely we'll be looking to sew up some this year as well for gifts for friends and family. There are a number of different patterns out there, but there's three. Two of them I've got to hand here that I use on a regular basis. One of them is quite a new to me pattern that I've sewn up very recently. One I've literally been sewing up for years, and another one that I've had for about a year or more that I've sewn up a number of times as well, and it creates a really good quality bag. So the first pattern, which is probably the easiest, is a pattern from So Easy. It's a pattern of, again, a free pattern. I love a free pattern. And you can download it. I'll pop the link in below. It's a YouTube video that's got a downloadable link for the template, and it just creates a really easy cosmetics bag, and I'll pop in an image of that. So that's one of the bags that I may well use. The second bag is again an Atom Sews pattern, and it is this pattern here. Now this is one that I sewed up for myself some time ago. That it comes in 3 different sizes. Now this is the large, and this one is the medium, and then there's a small as well. Now as you can see, this is a quilted bag, and this size, I have to say, makes a perfect cosmetics bag, because you can fit most of everything that you want in it. But what I really like about it, and apologies, there's a few little loose ends in there because I don't tend to use this one as a cosmetics bag. I use this when I'm going to sewing socials, but it opens up really wide so that you can see everything that's inside your bag, but it's also not going to fall out and go everywhere as well. So yeah, a perfect little size cosmetic pouch. It's got a little bound edge and things. It looks classy. I think this particular pouch, I think it looks really lovely, and I definitely will be sewing up a few more of these for Christmas. The third pouch that I've recently come across is by Rivet Patterns, and they have come up with the Prelude pouch, and this is their large version. There's 2 sizes, a large and a small, and this one has, if you can see the top of it there, you basically do as you would do for a welt pocket, where you create the box, you cut the line, you snip into the corners, and you pull the lining through, which creates really quite a nice image at the top. It's got a nice box bottom on it. It's a lovely shape. Again, this one is really, I think, is a really nice pattern. You could quilt this one if you wanted to, and then in size it's a good size. The larger size. The smaller size, this one isn't quite that pattern, but it's very similar to this. It's very slightly bigger, the smaller size, than this particular version here. So that again is a pattern that I would highly recommend, and I will pick between those 3 patterns that I've talked about to decide which pattern I'm going to sew up for presents this year. Now moving on to my next ideas, I will probably sew up a couple of tote bags. Again, these sew up really, really quickly. I am not going to show you what a tote bag looks like. We all know what one looks like. But yes, that is always, I think, is a lovely little staple gift to add you can kind of put your gifts in it, but it's also a gift in itself. So yeah, I think that's great. And then the other things are some clothes items that I am planning to sew up for my husband and my 2 boys. Now, I picked up this remnant of this gorgeous gecko or iguana fabric when I went to the Knitting and Stitching show at the beginning of October, and I picked this up with the idea of sewing up something for my younger son. So I am going to squeeze a t-shirt out for him. I might need to do a little bit of colour blocking actually. I might need to pick up a little bit of fabric that's the same sort of colour, which will be no great shakes for me, because if I was to pick up something that's in this tealy colour, you all know I love teal, and so I would definitely be able to make something for myself out of it as well. So happy days. So yeah, that is one of the makes. I will probably use the Waves and Wild Raglan Explorer tee, or the DIY Bee Club basic tee, which again is, that one is a free pattern. So yeah, one of those 2 patterns to sew it up, or the Brindle and Twig ringer tee. That's another free pattern that I sometimes like to use as well. So I've got a few different options. The Waves and Wild one is a paid for pattern, but those other 2 are free patterns, so well worth checking out if you're looking for something for a child and you fancy a little freebie pattern. The other thing that I am looking at sewing up for my older son is in this French terry fabric. I have picked up some ribbing that is this colour. I was originally going to go for white, but once I've realised, remembered that it had some grey in, I figured that would be slightly more of a good idea in terms of, you know, like bright white cuffs with a soon to be 9-year-old. I didn't think that was necessarily a great idea. Hopefully this one will come out really good. I'm hoping I've got enough to make a hoodie for him, or otherwise it will have to be a crew neck jumper, and again it will be the Waves and Wild hot chocolate pattern, which I've used on numerous occasions to make things for my sons. And then the final fabric that I've got to show you is this one here, which again is a French terry fabric, and I bought this last year from the lovely Crystal, who is my social thread D-stash, and it is this gorgeous French terry in this sort of Scandinavian design, which I had originally bought for myself, but my husband has literally been badgering me about it since I bought the fabric, that he loves it. And so, seeing as how I have bought quite a lot of things for myself in recent times, I decided that I would let him have it. Actually, one of the reasons I bought this particular fabric, which is the by Graziella print, the apple print, was kind of a gift to myself because I wasn't going to be able to sew this one up. And I have made this particular fabric I made into the Hug hoodie by Made It Patterns, which unfortunately don't trade anymore, but I talked about this in my last video. I think is one of my makes on my last video, which was quite a bumper episode of lots and lots of sewing. So if you haven't seen that episode, I'll link it in the cards above, because yeah, I managed that particular week to get loads done. Anyway, back to this fabric. As I say, French terry fabric. I've got a reasonable amount here, and so I could definitely get a hoodie out for him if he wants a hoodie, or not, I'll just make a sort of a crew neck jumper for him. Again, will be the Waves and Wild hot coffee pattern, which is the adult version of the hot chocolate pattern, and just I've sewn that one for him a number of times, and it's just worked out really well for him. So it's kind of, why change something if it isn't broken? So those are my gift ideas so far. That's by no means an exhaustive list, but hopefully it might have given you some ideas of things that you can sew up for Christmas presents or for any other type of celebration this year. Really looking forward to seeing everybody's entries, and on the 30th it's so lovely being involved in these sewing challenges and seeing what everyone else makes as well. If you do make anything from and have got inspiration from my video today, please do tag me on your post so I get to see what you're making as well, because there are always lots out there, so I don't want to miss it. As I say, if you're posting your mates on Instagram, don't forget to use the hashtag, don't forget to tag in our lovely hosts, and then you will find out in a few days after it's finished whether you've been in the chance of winning a lovely prize. But ultimately the prize is that you've got your head start on your sewing for the festive period, which is a win-win as far as I'm concerned, because I don't know about you, I have a habit of leaving it all to the last minute, which I am absolutely determined not to do this year. I'm determined not to be sewing right up until the last minute and to get everything done, and that so December is a slightly less fraught and I'm not sewing at the last minute. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've really enjoyed bringing it to you today. I've enjoyed telling you all about what I've got I'm planning to sew up. So I think I will round off and say goodbye to you. So I really hope you get some great sewing done and you enjoy taking part in the challenge. So I will say goodbye. Take care. Happy sewing. Bye bye.